Welcome to Prana Talk TV. I'm Shana Dean and
Elitom El-amin.
welcome everybody and welcome Elitom. Look how colorful and awesome you look this morning.
La la la, in the tall grass.
I love it. What a fun background screen.
Oh man, it's been a minute, but we got a lot to talk about as we go on our life journey, the breatharian journey. They're one and the same.
Yes, it is a spiritual journey with lots of growth and nourishment in ways that people don't quite realize, that you are nourished in so many ways, not just through food. But before we jump into our talk, Elitom, where are you right now? Are you in India still?
Oh, I'm still in India. Over a year now since the COVID started. So this is good. I'm glad to be stuck here, quote unquote, than any other place. So I've been having a ball, a good time. Of course, I've been using my time wisely. I've been studying my Hindi language, so it's coming a lot more stronger, meeting so many people. And right now I'm kind of taking a vacation because I just did a 21 retreat working with a lot of people. So now I'm in another city just to see the ancient sites, get away and just really cool down, because when you're working with a lot of people like that, you're taking on all of their energies and vice versa. So there's times you got to heal yourself for dealing with so many energies.
Yes, and that raises a really good point. When you're on the pranic path, you can't always be up, 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 right? And you can't always be acting with others, right? You really do need to take that time to yourself to recalibrate and come to center, because that is what really helps to fuel you on this journey, is that alone time and that nourishing time.
Oh, absolutely. And even in the workplaces, I mean, people know it's time for me to take a vacation. It's not time for me to take a day off. Always putting that type of stress on you, no matter what you're doing in life, could be awful. You need time for yourself. You'd be surprised, as we're saying this message, somebody's probably looking at it saying, man, I do need some time off. So in a breatharian journey, you learn to really start picking that time off, because there's a saying that says, a yogi spends a lot of time to himself. So that means you do interact with the world. You do interact with people, because in the last spirituality, people got in their mind, you just be all alone and just leave people alone. So you even hear people on the spiritual path, I can't stand people. And I'm like, well, you got a communication problem. There's no man that's an island, and you know that saying. We're all connected. So learning how to be with people, but learning how to take yourself out of it to get yourself together and centered, that's a big key that people got to learn.
That is a big key. And also realizing to honor where you are, because you might be the kind of person who loves to socialize and you're fueled and fed that way. So it's striking balance with whatever makes you as an individual feel really good and balanced. You know, what is that? It's not too much social, it's not too much alone, unless that's what you really like, but finding that even place where you feel like, I'm really at home here in my body and my spirit. I'm really connected to it and the things that I'm doing, whether I'm alone or not alone. But
oh, absolutely.
I know you've been doing a lot of retreats lately, and a topic that has been coming up for you is triggers.
Yeah.
So
triggers of the food.
Yeah, let's chat about that.
Now, on the first step, everybody heard of the legendary experiment called the Pavlov effect. That's if you're used to eating every day at a certain time, then all of a sudden you quit it. Around that time, your body will have reactions, because that time period, for instance, that's when you usually eat lunch. So we got that, you know, your mouth start watering, the visions start coming into your head, because now you're missing that meal. So coming from the traditional 3 meals a day or whatever your time period, that's usually where you feel it in your body, because your body actually is it works in patterns. And when you gave it that pattern, it's reacting to it all by itself, because that's the pattern you had it into. But now let's take it a step further, because I see a lot of people who do want to take this journey further, but there's other triggers that's coming up. Now, one day me and a friend was together. That she came and visited. We went to the Arabian Sea, found these nice rocks to sit on as we're looking at this beautiful view. And this is what she said out of her mouth. She said, you know, this is a beautiful view. The weather's just perfect. But just having my favorite snack right now will really feel good. Don't you ever feel like that? And I said, I know exactly what you're talking about. But that's a trigger, because there's some places you like to go, but you got in a habit back in the past of having that favorite food, having that favorite snack. So when you're trying to do it without it, you feel a certain way and you really can't enjoy the situation, because that's like a withdrawal that's taking place. So a lot of people will find that place of comfort where they used to enjoy it with food, and there's going to be a difference if you don't understand what's taking place. So one trigger is those sort of like watching TV. You're used to watching TV with the popcorn or the chips, and now the breatharian journey, you know what I mean? You're training yourself. But that's a trigger. Boredom is a trigger. You had this beautiful day working with the energy. Now you're about to go home by yourself, and you were used to taking that favorite snack, which you really settling in. That's another trigger. People can't handle it. And then there's that trigger of a stressful situation. A lot of people do eat through stressful situations. So when stressful situations is coming up, that's a trigger again for you to get something to eat until you learn to work your way through that. And when you deal with these triggers, some people might just have one that triggers them. Some might have those and others that triggers them. See, because food is attached to mental and emotional attachments. It's not a physical attachment. There was a time one time they was doing good on the breatharian journey until Thanksgiving came up. And pumpkin pie kept coming up. That's when their grandmother used to always make them a pumpkin pie. And I brought back memories. And here we go. That was a trigger. This is what we're talking about.
And it's really interesting, as you're talking, I'm thinking about the senses, right? Because our sense of taste, it brings us pleasure. And so a lot of what you're talking about is you're wanting to settle in and have more pleasure, or you're enjoying the sea, like you mentioned with the Arabian Sea and your friend, and you just want to heighten it with a little bit more pleasure. So we think of that food because it feels good. But you know, our sense of taste isn't our only sense, right? We have our vision, our hearing, our touch, you know, all of that. Those are all sensory stimuli, let's say, that can bring us a great deal of pleasure. So when you're thinking about food as in something that makes you feel really good, and you want to start moving it out of your life so it's not the focal point of your life anymore, think about, how can I replace this with another type of sensory pleasure that I can enjoy? So maybe putting on like a fragrance, you know, smelling something that you really love, or putting on a material that's really soft, or looking at something that's beautiful, a piece of art, or whatever that is for you. But think about what feels good, what can heighten this moment in a way where I'm not leaning towards food for this fulfillment.
Absolutely. And you know how we talked about those multiple experiences that could trigger you. So most people have more than one. And what happens is you don't want to overwhelm yourself either by trying to get rid of all of them at the same time. Once you start identifying what they are, small victories help on the journey. Let me say that. That's why we always say, take your time. This isn't no race for putting tape on your mouth. That's not how this is working. We brought, like you said, this is a spiritual journey. And there was a time spirituality was in the head. Everybody was talking from their head and the body was out of it. But now, in this age we're in now, it's dealing with more self-care, more coming back into the body. You don't even need to claim the spiritual path to identify that's taking place now. More people's working out, more people's getting a memo of really getting themselves together physically. Because now we got things to say, okay, we got diabetes, liver ailments, strokes, cancer, obesity. This is running rampant, but also on a positive note, you got more people than ever before that is healthy, that is taking charge of their health, because we got more information. So we are in the age of self-care coming back into the body, especially in the spiritual or energetic arena. This is what I like it. This is what the breatharian journey is coming from, the energetic foundation.
Oh my goodness, there's so many things I want to say. So first of all, this kind of really ties back into pleasure, right? So people are taking care of themselves because it feels good to do that, right? When you're
Right.
stressed out, you're overeating, that really doesn't feel that good. That whole scenario, even that you might be self-medicating or what have you. But the more you
Right.
take time for yourself, the more you take care of yourself, the better you feel, the more pleasure you're feeling, the more of a heightened experience you're feeling. And what is
Hmm.
spiritual lifestyle? Well, that is actually following your highest bliss and happiness and all of that. So it's calming the mind, it's really working with your energy, but it's following your highest happiness and passions. It really is. That
Absolutely.
puts you in your vortex. That puts you in that state where you're at a high state of being, like gratitude, happiness, bliss. Joe Dispenza talks about this.
Hmm.
Abraham Hicks talks about this. You've got Bashar who talks about this. In fact, I don't know if I've mentioned Bashar's quote, which I love, and it is, follow your highest excitement for the best of your ability for as long as you can without attachment to outcome. And I
That's awesome.
love that quote because it's really in every moment of your life, what is your highest excitement, right?
Exactly.
And your breatharian path is just that. You're doing things that you love, you're doing things that feel good, and you're not leaning on
Hmm.
food for this because I guarantee there are other things that feel so much better than just those few moments that you get with something that tastes delicious, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, when you're running energy, it feels great. When
It
you're
feels great.
song and you're energized and you're aligned and your posture's straight because of all this stuff that you're doing that keeps you there, the self-care, you feel on
Right.
top of the world. That is your nourishment and that is the path.
Absolutely. And see, look at this when you was talking about basically freedom. Nature shows us that things want to be free. And we as human beings, that's why in a lot of the yoga lore, they got liberation as being the highest thing. And we know that deep down inside. But what happens is, due to our thought process, our freedom is also our crutch. Our freedom, because right now you could be sitting there, you got so much freedom, there's nothing that could stop you from going to the refrigerator, from eating, pigging out here. Right, that's another freedom, you understand, that has an outcome to it, but we got to admit that. But those freedoms are temporary if we're used to holding on to crutches, or we want to take something with us. I want to take this relationship with me. I want to take this with me. Instead of going into your full liberation, because what makes it scary is it's not a fixed path. Whoa, it's not a fixed path. I know you want these instructions, but it's not going to fit everybody the same. You're slowly detaching until you find your ingredient. And it's not a fixed path, but once you start feeling that liberation more and more, then it start overriding the other things we thought would give us freedom. Those are illusions. That's what we mean by the illusion that don't give you freedom. It has a temporary happiness until you start paying the price, feeling it, see how much your time is being spent, seeing how your mind is being drained, compared to being fully liberated. That's in all of us. It can be accomplished.
Oh, I'm so glad you brought that up because there are so many little hooks along this path that can make you feel limited. And one is just the simple idea of giving up food.
Right, right.
That alone can make you feel limited. I mean, there was a time long ago where I had just decided no more socializing with food, none of that. And what I found was when I was in a social situation, it brought me a lot of sadness that I couldn't enjoy that high level of excitement and passion and bliss that I felt when I was with people around food. And that actually
Right.
brought me down. Do you think that's on the breatharian path? No, actually, it would have been better along my journey had I just eaten the food that I loved and experienced that high level of bliss and passion and said, this is the path. It's not denying yourself and any of that
Exactly.
or limiting yourself. And what I found in actually yielding to that pleasure and that excitement of being with people and doing things I love is that over time, when I was on my own, I just generally wanted less and less food because I was honoring myself and my happiness,
Yes,
flowing with no limits.
exactly. So even when I tell about my breatharian journey, see, you start laughing at yourself. So some things I'll say, people start laughing, but I'll talk about the first time I OD'd on chocolate and all this other stuff until I had to learn, okay, those are the things I really love. Enjoy yourself with them until you outgrow them. And that's what happened over time. As you keep working with the light, it'll start coming through the body. You're channeling it more, you're learning more. See, one thing about the breatharian journey, what it does to a person, when you stay on it over time, it will give you more empathy. See, I hear some people, they come out with a health journey, and I could tell by the way they're talking, it gotta be done like this, you stay this, no matter what is this. I say, okay, they got some living to do. But over a period of time, you stay in the game for a while, will give you more empathy for other people because you know what you had to go through. So everybody got these attachments, these strings. That's just part of being human. And when you're coming out of this and you're outgrowing things, that's why when my friends sat up here saying, wouldn't this be better if I had this and that? And I didn't talk hard as a breatharian. I said, I know exactly where you're coming from because you've been through it.
Yeah, it really does soften you. It kind of reminds me of when I first went vegan and I just thought, oh, the whole world needs to be vegan and this is why. And there's a lot of vegans out there who can relate. And a part of it was like the self-judgment I had. Oh, if I ate something that wasn't vegan, I'm going to be hard on myself. Therefore, I'm going to be hard on others.
Right.
Let me give you all the reasons around the planet and the, for the animals. I mean, there's a lot of really good reasons, right? So I'm not going to refute that. But I was so hard-nosed about it that I had lost my softness and my compassion for everyone, not just the animals.
That's what's happening.
Everyone. So you need to have compassion, softness for yourself and others.
And nothing, because that's the energy of nourishment.
Yes.
That's the energy of nourishment. Now listen at this. This comedian, even though he was telling the joke, I can relate to it. He said, don't it feel good when you know you're about to go eat bad? And when you're with another person, a friend of yours, and they're going to eat bad too, there's no judgment. They are having a good time.
Right.
Now that stuck out to me because he's telling the truth on that level. Okay, y'all eating, y'all about to do this. It's about to bring our comfort on the level of our thinking. It's about to bring us together. It's an experience we're having. So when you're coming out the breatharian journey to carry that judgment package on other people, all you're doing is cutting off the energy. Or even if you're on some type of health diet. I see people do that all the time, putting themselves in a box, knowing, and that's why the breatharian knowledge is so powerful, your body is still talking that that's not the full level yet. So it keeps chipping you away. So people have to admit to it after a while, and then they start seeing how it's really helping them. But the main thing, it's okay to relax. It's okay to be easy on yourself. You're not breaking no records. Here we go again. And then once they see the changes, that happens fast. It ain't like it's going to take slow. When you start working with the light, there's so many wonderful things start happening to you. And by doing all this retreat, you should hear the reports I hear. I mean, there's people in their 60s and 70s saying, I never felt like this in my life. Now, you probably think that they will say that back when they was in their 20s. But when they understand what we talk about energy channels, they do exist. You have a neural network going through the body that's electrical, that's energetic, working on the chemical level. That's what throws people off. Your neuron works with chemical information of electricity. It's not the electricity that needs to wire like your house, but it's the same electricity. So we got to get educated on this. That's why we talk more on a scientific level, not only to tell you more about your body on how it's working, because we throw these words and I'm finding out that people don't know what it is. I even had to draw out a neuron and show them the dendrites, the axons of how it's working, because they didn't know. You just talking. And then we'll start talking about more of the natural universe that you live in. I know we've been talking that this is all an illusion. No, the illusion is your thinking. You change the perception, the reality is going to be perfection. You are being sustained by a perfect world. You have a perfect body. That's why it's here. If we was to get you outside the planet, because we're already seeing the stars, the moon, the other heavenly bodies, you'll say, oh, that's beautiful to really see it. Now, if you was to come off the earth and look at the earth, you'll say, man, that's a beautiful planet. That's where you live. It's beautiful. Oh, man, this is good, ain't it? and it will provide everything you need. All of this energy, there's so much light, so much force around us that your body is just giving you enough you can handle. That's why there is a lifestyle change that you can do that bring more energy flow through the body as you slowly just let loose and let go of these things.
Yes. Yes.
Now,
I love it.
there's something I want to bring up dealing with the three, how should I say, I call them the 3 T's. Now, we all got the memo on toxicity. Toxicity in the body. Fasting do cleans out the body and all this other good stuff. And it feels good to put yourself through that regimen, especially, you know, keeping it up, keeping it flowing, and don't let your body get too toxic. And then the other one is our thoughts. Your thoughts mean everything because we got so much proof now that your mind is connected with your body. You're one and the same. Your thoughts affect your body. It affects the way the cells, the behavior, all of this, because it changes your perception of the world when you get new information. But the last T is that trauma. Your body picked up every experience, both good and bad, as you're going along. And the way I define a trauma is anything that alters your belief system. It's anything that alters your belief system till you won't look at the world the same because you just went through that experience. So here I am on a breatharian journey, and just recently, another trauma was in my body. There was a part of my body that was still stiff. This ain't had nothing to do with food. And I was doing a Watsu, where you do the massage in the water, and I got the instructor taking me through. Now, I can swim. I love swimming. But I'm not the kind of person that will say, I need to go swimming today. I'm not that type of person. And I can't float. All right, now here we go. So as we're in the pool on the second session, the memory came up on when I almost drowned when I was a child. It was stuck in my body. As soon as I identified it, that's when the body loosened up a little more. And it was plain as day, the body's talking to you, but that trauma's still there, way back from 8 years old. That's something, ain't it? So this is what we mean on the breatharian journey. You can't fast your way into it. There's traumas you got to get rid of. There was just a person talking to me today. They're talking about all their long fasts that they did and how they've been evading this long and they're ready to let go. But they just went through a divorce. They just went through this other stuff. I said, you need to go heal first. Now, they couldn't hear me at first until I talked to them more and more, because you're not realizing it. All of that pain is up in the body. And you're going into the breatharian journey for other reasons, even though we don't want to admit, to give you self-esteem. You got this thing that if I go there, it'll just solve everything. You have to solve the things first to bring more light into the body. Oh man, that's why this is a healing journey.
And you don't have to put that much pressure on yourself and think you have to do all of that first, because what I have found on my journey is while I'm on the journey, things get solved and healed.
That's what the journey is all about.
It brings it right up. And it starts with your digestive system. The first time I ever did like a really in-depth colon cleanse, I had emotions that came up since that I hadn't experienced since I was a child. So a lot of this is like in your digestive system. You can have memories, you know, in your muscles, if you had an old injury, or stored in your cells. And all of this will come up, I guarantee you, when you're on the path.
It'll come looking for you. You ain't got to figure out what it is.
Right.
Because I would have never thought about that incident way back then. It was the water that triggered it, the right situation, the trust into the structure, really letting go deeper. And then you got, whoa, that's there. Okay, let's get some healing. Because what the body is doing is trying to protect us. That's why it's doing that, so you won't do it again. And it has to feel that it's okay. So there are some people that the breatharian journey, they have to come another route. Because I actually had a relative one time where they actually went through time periods as a childhood when the food was not there. So what happened as an adult, every time they see a plate of food, they're eating it. So right now they're real overweight, but they got traumatized from not having that love, that comfort, that experience there. So it does make a difference on everybody. You're coming from different angles. So we're not promoting you must hate food. That right there is the topic we're not even talking about. It's an energy source. It's just at a more dense level that gives off more toxicity. You are moving into another energy source that's more subtle that you're already tapped into. You're just learning how to tap into it more, which we call a light. But even that's a word we're just using vaguely. There is different many forms of energy on how it moves that our body's connected to. It's sort of like if you were to get the different cells of the body, all of them is made of molecules, but some of them are vibrating differently at different rates than others. That's what makes it who it is. Oh man. But the totality of them all work together. So that's what we mean by harmonizing the energies, harmonizing it. So it could get a lot more smooth pathway because all energy runs a circuit. That's what we're talking about. If we want to get it into the best circuit you can get in to run through your body, and the way you'll know it is you will feel healthier, more energetic. And what goes along with that experience is a happy mindset, joy, peace. That's an experience that will come through a freed up body. Oh man, did I say that?
Yes, it's so true. And I love the happiness factor, because the more you play in those higher states of happiness, and then sometimes just changing your perspective can put you into a happier state.
Oh, absolutely.
It kind of helps to shake loose those old traumas, especially if you're
right.
energy in your body. And the fasting really is so you can train your body to eat less, yes, but you're also cleansing. And when you cleanse, I guarantee you're going to cleanse old traumas, old emotions, things that are stored in the body. You just will. And you become more and more intuitive the cleaner your system is. I noticed this when I first went raw so long ago. I, gave up cooked food for raw food. And right away, within the first 2 weeks, I think I noticed, wow, I am noticing that I can see things happening before they happen. Like I started getting really little psychic nudges and visions, and I was shocked actually by that side effect.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, the more you're on this path and the more cleansing you do and the less food that you're eating and the more you're in a higher state, that's going to be more and more and more true. At the same time, you're cleaning not only your body, but your energy centers, your nadis, your meridians,
all one and the same.
chakras, right? And it all becomes unified and clear. So this stuff's going to come up, and you're just going to naturally become happier and happier. So this
absolutely
isn't just a path for happy people or people who don't experience depression or difficult times. No, this is a path to help bring you up so you can be happy all the time. So it's a beautiful cycle that feeds upon itself.
Exactly. And I'm glad you said that. Now, people might not need to hear this. See, like we said, it's one level where you don't have to try to find out what it is. It will come up. But what happens with a lot of people is they'll put it back in. Some things they'll let go, it's easier. Some will put back in.
And what's the easiest way of doing that? Eating something.
Here we go.
Something will come up and then you'll eat it to self-medicate and then it gets buried.
To self-medicate.
Or you'll go back into a negative thought or whatever that is and you'll just, it's really about being kind of conscious. So when it does come up, just be aware that it's coming up and sit with it instead of pretending it like it's not there and putting it back.
Because emotional healing is different than physical healing. And some things you might have to address once or twice. It might bring forth the crying because you're reliving it to actually let it go. So just to throw that out there for those who need it, because everybody's coming from different backgrounds and some degrees of trauma could be more than others. And not only just eating, it could be other bad habits. Different addictions with alcohol, the different types of drugs and stuff. Those are other factors that people are on to cover something up. And the more you can know that's coming up through this cleansing process, then you can see what it really is. Like you said, it's all about awareness. I love this.
Yeah, and it's not just covering up. People are doing it because it brings pleasure, right? So if you're experiencing a very difficult old trauma or something that's upsetting you, you're going to reach for that food because it's a feel good, it's a comfort, right? And a lot of people are using food as comfort. So there's no fault in that, right? But just as you become more aware, you realize, okay, this may not be the Band-Aid that I want, because it really is just a Band-Aid for a festering thing that needs to really have a deeper look at, you know, that will
Oh, absolutely.
be healed once and for all if you're conscious and you're with it.
And that,
yeah.
And to help people out too, I was just dealing with a group of people, what I had to, like we were saying, we're talking more down to earth now. And I was telling them the difference between force and pressure. Now, to get pressure, you do need some force, but they're two different things. But we're talking on that level on how to start using this body. Okay, so you're coming into this breatharian journey and we're saying, don't put tape on your mouth because you're easing up on it. But we've been bringing in this component called exercise. And we're not talking about a person got to go join the gym and all this other stuff. We're not talking on that level. Let's just talk basics, walking, the power of walking. Because your intestines, which is like 22 feet long, you know, depending on who you're talking to, that is long, that's longer than you. And that's all squished up into the middle of your torso. Can you imagine? That's what's there. And the food got to go all through that. So I'm saying all of this, there is a thing called peristalsis. And that's how it contracts and expands so the food can work itself through. You can really help yourself out and do yourself a favor that when you do eat these certain meals, and we're not telling you what to eat, but when you do eat, to get in that habit of, you know how they say, let me go walk it off. You're helping with your peristalsis. You're helping with the whole body to let you know, because I don't want people, because when we get in that old mode of spirituality, there's a thing called the guru belly. You do a lot of meditation, you do a lot of sitting there, but they're sitting there with this belly because the toxicity can't move. So that's still a toxic individual, even though the energy might be a certain way. So we're in this new age of coming back into your body, because that's what the breatharian knowledge is. You're literally bringing your consciousness. You should feel your feet. You should feel your legs, all of this stuff. And the way you know you have a high vibration, the definition is you'll have little or no discomfort or pain in the physical body. You can heal yourself, but it's time to take charge of it. So even if you ain't planning on eating for the rest of your life and not becoming a breatharian, at least the medical profession is doing a good job saying exercise. Exercise, get that toxicity moving, get that blood flowing, get that heart beating. And we're always talking about the heart and spirituality. All right, let's take it there. It's bringing off the highest frequency coming off the body 500 more times than the brain. Exercise will really help strengthen that frequency. Do you want to be a higher vibration? There it is. So that will help the food go through better. Your metabolism will get better. You getting rid of the toxicity out of the body will get better, and you will feel better and have better confidence. And you'll look good.
Absolutely, yes. And if you compare your exercise with love, joy and excitement, then you're really up there, right? In other words, choose a form of exercise that you love. And most people think, oh, I don't like exercise. Well, you may not like going to the gym or whatever it is you've tried in the past, but maybe there's something that you can do that's active that you do love. Like, for example, right now I'm in beautiful Sedona and I've been swimming every day, and that brings me my highest excitement. I cannot wait to get in the water and go swimming every day and look at those clouds and feel the sun on my skin. And that is my highest excitement. Other times of the year, all I want to do is go hiking, right? So it's always for me changing, but it's usually what's going to bring me the most happiness right now. That's what I ask myself. So that's what you should be asking yourselves, and finding something that you really love, whether you're doing it alone or with friends, whatever it is.
You said the key words on that. Pick something that you enjoy. Because I just did this talk dealing with at this festival, and people still got in their mind when you say exercise. Well, I can't get muscle like you, and this, we're not talking on that level. Get something you love to do, get the body moving. This is what we're talking about. It's something you enjoy. It could be hiking, it could be playing tennis, it can be running if you love running, it could be swimming. Get the body moving, but get in that habit to where you got the energy flowing, because the body is energy.
Yes.
You're taking the body along with you. It's time for us to stop putting it down. It is spiritual. It is spirit.
Yeah, this journey
We're
is
not
really
going to do
about,
nothing with it.
yeah, this journey is about soul body fusion. It's about bringing your higher self, your God self, your energy back into your body. Because I know a
And
lot of
keeping
times,
it there.
in keeping it there, right, at a high vibe. Because a lot of times with the spiritual path, you think, oh, I'm out of my body, I'm in meditation, I don't want to feel my body. And yes, you'll have meditations where that happens, but you really want to come back into body and bring all that spiritual energy back into the body. And when
Absolutely.
you talk about doing exercise that you love, it's not only because if you love it, you'll do it. And that's a very good reason right there. Because if you love it, you'll do it every day or want to. But the
Right.
other reason is if you can be very conscious of, hey, I'm doing this physical activity here and I love it. Recognize that you love it. Be
Mm-hmm.
conscious and aware that you love it and realize that you are running the highest form of energy that there is, which is bliss and happiness, through your energy centers while you're being physical. If you realize
Absolutely.
those two things are in play, then you realize that you're actually in those moments, you are increasing your frequency, you're increasing your vibration, and that is the greatest fuel there is.
Absolutely. And to get that motivation, even if you have to see, this is why I was just working with this group and everybody's grouped up working with each other. Yes, you do feel better, a better motivation when you got other people of like mind doing the same thing. That motivates you because you could easily, whatever the stresses of life, what comes up, just by you sitting out that moment or whatever, there'd be that mind, oh man, I should have, and blah, blah, blah. Or there's times your mind will try to talk you out of it. But once you did it, took that nice walk, you're so glad you did. So if you're a person that's weaker in motivation, get with a group if you can, or a person, an individual that'll help you, to get something to motivate you. And if you already got that self-motivation, good for you. Absolutely. But this is all talk about the journey again. These triggers we got to watch out for and not cutting them off all the way. And just dealing with each one, but start identifying what it is, what triggers you. So you can get a lot further on the journey. See, all types of people can fast and have these big runs real quick, but it's how you can maintain it over a period of time. That's what it's all about. What we're saying is you're staying healthy over a period of time. You have improvements in getting stronger over a period of time. I'm way stronger than I was last year. This is awesome. But on our old way of thinking, the more you age, the more you're supposed to break down, get weaker. Not when you're running energy like this. We're in a whole new age with this information that sounds simple, but it wasn't here before. Because everybody's perception was on other things in life outside of themselves. But now we're learning the value of ourselves again. See, I could tell you you're beautiful, but you got to know you're beautiful.
I love you're bringing all of this up, especially about the way you perceive yourself. I remember reading somewhere that I wish I remember the country of origin. Maybe somebody came over from China. I don't remember. Don't quote me on this. But when they came into the United States, where cancer and heart disease and diabetes is so prevalent, and it's the consciousness, they ended up getting those diseases because they were now in a culture where this is in the consciousness, right?
Right.
It came from a culture where that wasn't really that thought of, so it wasn't an issue. It was never in the family. So
Right.
as a general culture, we have really bought into the fact that as we get older, we get more aches and pains. As we get older, our minds start to go. As we get older, we start to really slow down and break down. And that does not have to be the case. What if our society, what if you chose to believe that as you got older, you get better and better and better?
Right.
You let go of the stuff from the past, the childhood stuff, anything that's weighing you down. You become more and more expansive. You're breaking free of these old paradigm thought systems that our parents and our teachers and our society taught us that's in the box. And you become more of a clear channel, right? Because I'm guessing most people weren't raised as breatharians. Very few of us were raised vegan. If you were, that's great. But you still have things that you need to shed and clear and cleanse from your past. And you're getting better and better and better, more energized, younger, closer to your spiritual self. where there's a like a eternal youthfulness, right?
Oh yeah.
And it
And
does. You get better, you get younger. So why not get that into your mindset?
right. This is
Make that
why
your
it
world.
goes back to this is a mental and emotional journey. Because you could be working on yourself, but there's even a prevailing thought that says, am I really worthy to work on myself of this goal? Oh man, this is something, isn't it? But this is a prevailing thought that many people don't talk about, but it has everything to do with health. Why do I need to be healthy? Even when I was talking physical immortality one time, this woman said, do you really want to live forever in this? You know, this is how she came, but I could see her life was going. So the whole thing was just, and I could see where you're coming from with that prevailing idea, and that's what reality you created for yourself. So that's why as you're coming out of these realities, not only everybody's affecting you, you're affecting everybody else. This is how it goes, because that came out of that environment also, where there was a prevailing thought, but I had to break through it. Now, even though I made it out of there, I got connections with a lot of the people, but there's another thought there that I could say I added to that. You understand? So we have the power too to change different situations of a prevailing thought. It just takes time. Time heals. So the whole world is getting this message more and more. We are in an age of self-care. Now this is running everywhere. US, Europe, Asia, Africa, India is coming more prevalent all over the planet. That shows you that the light wants everybody to be healthy. We're in the age of self-care.
Right.
Self-responsibility.
And
This is
why
what we're
does the
talking
light,
about.
why does the light want us to be healthy? Because it feels amazing. Highest quality of life.
Absolutely.
And it keeps your energy centers clear and open and connected to the light itself, which is what you actually are.
Absolutely.
Your
So
health.
sort of like, oh, sorry. So sort of like I was talking to that woman that had, when I was telling her about her traumas, deal with that first, you know, because she want to jump, because you just want something that was real traumatic. Don't blow it off. So this is how we're talking to them, because sometimes we do this as humans, all you see is the big goal. You don't see the work it takes to get there. That's why a lot of people have these ideas and can't pull nothing off in life, because as soon as you start, you didn't realize it take that much work. The people who's at the top that did the work, they make it look easy, but they put in the work and did it. You understand that it takes a lot of work to maintain it. Keep that in mind. So you're making a full lifestyle change. Like we were saying, those different moments of triggers. Are you willing on sitting in that, and you don't have those things to grab onto that you're doing right now? Okay, it might can happen temporarily. Now, another thing you must keep in mind, when you do start putting your body to the test, freeing it up with periods of not eating, when you come off of it, it's just as important as when you was doing it. Stop binging out, eating too much, eating things that's heavy, going into a cycle, because let me tell you something. Your body, if you do this long fast, good for you. And then what people do is they sit down for a while, and they'll probably do another big one a couple months from now. The body don't know what you're trying to do. So each time you do that, it might hold on to food a lot longer because it thinks you're about to starve it again. So you'll stay bloated longer. If you stay consistent, the body will get the memo on what you're trying to do, because this is all dealing with reprogramming your pattern. Stay into a pattern that works for you, so the body can know what you're trying to do. So we got the knowledge of what happens on the chemical level. Yes, there's truth to that. The breatharian knowledge is not fighting against what your body does with glucose and nothing else. That's the level it's working at. You're taking it to another level that's being scientifically proven, because we're dealing with what? Frequency medicine. Yes, energy does activate chemical reactions. Got to get that through your head. It's already out there. It's just that some is manifested and living.
Well said. I love it. And I like the term frequency medicine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
As a Reiki master teacher, I like that.
Right.
Energy medicine, it's Reiki, it's frequency medicine. Everything that we're talking about is about raising frequency.
Mm-hmm.
And that really does fuel you. Like right now, I could think, oh, wow, what was the food that I used to really love? You know, something that's heavy, because you're talking about eating heavy foods. And I can visualize myself eating that and the pleasure of that. But then I also think about how it would actually make my energy and my body feel after. And I would probably need to take a nap. It would probably give me a bellyache or, you know.
Oh, absolutely.
A lot of bliss and happiness in that moment. But then afterwards, what are you kind of stuck with? What's the end result? And then when I think about either not eating or having a glass of water or whatever that is for you that feels lighter, maybe it's reaching for a piece of fruit or a smoothie or whatever it is, because I would want people to actually experience this and visualize eating something heavy and then visualize eating something light. How do you feel just visioning choosing that lighter option?
Exactly.
Most likely you're going to feel a little bit of kind of bliss stirring in your digestive system. If you've been on this path for a while, you might, right? Maybe not in the beginning, but somewhere along the line, you're going to realize, wow, the way that food or that beverage makes me feel, or let's say skipping that food or that beverage, right, makes me feel, that's the thing I'm going for. It's that high level of clear energy and connectivity. That's what I want right now. That's my highest pleasure.
This is awesome. Like how we talked, what's our foundation? We usually talk about meditation, thought process, fasting, exercise, and we got our 4 foundation up. Everything's moving, you're working with everything. And when you work with diet, now notice I ain't saying what to eat or whatever, but make sure you start learning how to eat less.
Yes, and I want to add a 5th level to the foundation there, which is fun.
Right, it all should be fun.
Fun, laughing. I mean, you talked earlier about it being work. Yes, but think of it as play. It's playtime. It doesn't have to be so hard. Really, it's truly about loving yourself, honoring your self-worth, taking good care of yourself, and enjoying the entire journey.
It should all be fun.
It should all be really fun and funny.
I was dealing with this one man. You should have saw him, and I just had to say, just leave the journey alone. But he had this sad look on his face. I'm trying, and I'm going to do 3 more days. And I'm constantly it's just crying because you want to be this. I said, whoa, you got the wrong attitude for number one. It's not about this. Have fun. You're doing good, but you couldn't see it. Just leave it alone.
And you can't actually proceed on the journey if that's how you're feeling, because that's not it actually depletes your energy, will make you hungrier, and it gets in this negative cycle, right? So the more
he's creating problems that don't exist.
Right.
The whole attitude, it didn't have to be like that. But some people, like I said, this message is drawing all types of people. So I'm not talking about or putting people down, but I'm bringing you examples of what type of different consciousness is coming in. And some people catch it faster than others. This is what we're dealing with. So it got to be a thing that you're ready for, you're prepared for, and you can understand what we're talking about. Even take a time out to look at the other videos so you can get an understanding. That's what we made the channels for. So you just won't catch the idea and put your own spin to it. And it's user friendly, it's out there, and then you can start looking at yourself, where you at, your environment, your family, friends, and you could go from there. You could do a lot of good work when you be down to earth. That's how we want it. We don't want to write fantasy stories.
Right, and no beating yourself up, and be mindful of self-judgments, and just really be good to yourself.
Absolutely. So we hope y'all got a lot out of this. This was good once again.
Oh, it's so much fun. I just love chatting with you, Elitom. Thank you everybody for listening, and we just love you so much. So have a beautiful, happy, high vibe day. Have fun, do something you love. Until the next time.
Peace and blessings.